welcome back to the Stevens Kitchen. Today we're going to be making a winter favorite. Now that we're getting into the colder months, we're going to be making beef stew. So let me run you guys through the ingredients and we'll get started. Okay, so let's run through the ingredients really quick. You're going to need some Bisquick for the dumplings, which is actually going to be the last step, but I just figured I would mention it now. You're going to need some potatoes cubed. I'm using gold potatoes, but you can use white or red. Some celery, some white onion chopped. Ideally, use carrots too, but I live with a carrot hater, so we're not using carrots today. Some sirloin steak. I have about 3 tablespoons of butter. Some beef bullion. If you don't have beef bullion cubes, you can just use some beef stock, and if you don't have either, you could always use vegetable stock. I have some dried dill, a little bit of pink salt, and pepper. So first thing we're gonna do is I have a pot back there. I'm bringing it up to a boil. I'm gonna throw a little bit of salt in there and throw my potatoes in because you wanna get those boiling first. And then I will meet you guys over at the Dutch oven and we'll get started with the steak. All right, so now in my Dutch oven, I'm gonna bring it up to about medium heat and I'm gonna throw in my 3 tablespoons of butter. All right, and while that is melting, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my sirloin steak. You can use whatever type of cut of beef that you have or that you'd like. Personally, I just think that this is a great price and it gets really tender when you cook it in the stew for a bit. So get that going, and then I'm also going to throw in my onions. Some more there. And then I'm going to add a sprinkle of salt just to help cook down the onions. Get them to sweat a little bit. And so now I am just going to constantly stir this until my beef is completely cooked. And I will show you guys what that looks like. All right, so my steak has cooked beautifully. And if you see all those juices in there, do not drain that because that is the beef fat and onions. Just this is the flavor to your whole stew. So do not drain that. That is the key ingredient here. So now into this mixture, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my celery. And if you were using carrots, which I highly recommend, but again, dealing with the carrot hater, then add it in at this point and you're gonna cook this down a little bit. And at this point, I'm going to be adding in my black pepper. So good amount of that. And then this is optional. I just love adding in dried dill to just about everything. So I'm gonna add in about a teaspoon of that. And then I'm gonna give that a stir. Now at this point, I'm going to try my best and not add any more salt because I am gonna be adding in those beef bullion cubes. We salted it in the beginning when we first started cooking the onions because we wanted it to cook down. We wanted the onions to sweat, and the salt draws out the liquid. It helps the onions cook, but now you want to be careful and you don't want to add any in because this can go from perfect to too salty very quickly, and I am the queen of salt, so if I'm saying it can get too salty, it can get too salty. So I'm going to cook this down for a couple seconds. Okay, so now at this point, my potatoes are about halfway cooked. So I'm going to drain them and then I will show you guys the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to throw in my drained potatoes, get them all on in there. And again, these are about halfway cooked. So I drained out the water. I'm just gonna give these a quick stir just to kind of get everything incorporated. And now what I'm actually gonna do is I'm going to take the pan that I use to cook my potatoes and I'm gonna fill this up with fresh water. If you were to use the cooking water from the potatoes, this whole stew would get really gritty and just not good. So that's why we threw out that water, and I'm gonna go to the sink and get some fresh hot water to throw into there to make our stew. All right, so now I'm going to add in my cooking water, about 6 to 8 cups of water. I'm gonna give that a little bit of a stir. And now your potatoes are gonna finish cooking in here as this simmers and the meat is gonna get super tender. Now at this point, I'm gonna be taking my bullion cubes and throwing them in. Now if you aren't using bullion cubes, you're not gonna be adding water like I just did. You're gonna be adding beef stock instead, or vegetable stock, whichever you prefer. So I'm just gonna throw these in and stir a little bit to get those melting. So I actually forgot to mention this in the beginning, but I will make sure to put it in the recipe down below. One of the most important ingredients is Gravy Master. This is going to make your stew a beautiful brown color. I know it sounds weird, but trust me, it makes it look the right color. So I'm going to give that a stir, and that is exactly what you want to see. That is the exact color you want to see. All right, so now the best part of this is just gonna sit in your Dutch oven, partially covered, for about 25 to 30 minutes or until your potatoes are cooked all the way through. And then I will show you guys the last and final step before we get to eat this. All right, so the last step is going to be making our dumplings. So I'm just gonna be using Bisquick mix and some water, but you can do whatever kind of dumpling recipe that you want. I will leave some approximate measurements down in the description box below, but if you are using an all-purpose baking mix like the Bisquick, there'll be instructions on the back of the box, so you can follow that or you can follow mine down below. Either way it works. You're just looking to get a consistent, thick dough. So as you saw, I mixed up my dumpling batter. I was gonna take a cookie scoop with about 1/4 of a cup of batter, and I am just going to plop them right on top. And if you don't have a cookie scoop, that's fine. I just got one last week. Before that, I would literally just use a spoon. So I'm not fancy. Just doing what I can. So basically, you're just gonna plop these on top, and then once you get them all in there, you're gonna cover them, and you are gonna let them cook for about 2 minutes. And then you're going to flip them over, cover them again, and cook them for about another minute, and then it'll be done. So as you can see, these completely expanded. That's why you really don't want to overcrowd your pot. So now I am just really gently going to take a spoon and flip them over, and then they will continue to cook on the other side. So this is exactly what you're looking for. This is done. I'm just going to serve up a little bit for myself. Ooh, look at that. And the dumplings, oh my god, the dumplings turn it into like more of like a gravy. They thicken it up a little bit, but they don't make it gritty like the potato liquid would. So I'll meet you guys at the counter and we'll give this a taste test. All right, let's take a bite. I can't wait any longer. This is way too hot, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Get a little bit of potato, a little bit of dumpling. Really hot, but so good. It gets so incredibly thick just from adding the dumplings into it. It's perfect for any winter night, or to be honest, we ate this all summer long, so it's just one of our favorites. So I will leave the recipe down below in the description box if you guys want to give this a try. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment down below what type of recipe you guys want to see next. So until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!